Hello and welcome to the Promoting Thoughts Blizzard World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria special discussion episode. And basically this is an episode that's going to be a lot of ado about not very much, unfortunately. This basically follows on from the news that very recently a trademark request was unearthed that had been filed by Blizzard for the trademark of Mists of Pandaria. And as you can imagine, anything to do with World of Warcraft, this set the MMO gaming community on fire with gossip. Most of it focused around the question of, is this an expansion for WoW? A lot of different sites weighed in with their opinion. WoW Insider offered a very good piece that discusses, is it actually a World of Warcraft or is it another Warcraft element that's going to be coming into play? However, I am going to go with the viewpoint that this is World of Warcraft related. And the reason I'm saying this is one very big reason, and that is Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's no secret to anybody in the know about MMOs that these two games will be going head to head. People can talk all the time about how they're appealing to different audiences, drawing from different fan bases, whatever. The fact is that for the next few years, these two are going to be the big two MMOs until either the next big AAA comes out or the next big sleeper hit comes out. There's a lot of reasons for this, which I'll get into later. For now, what I want to look at is Mists of Pandaria and what it could possibly mean. Obviously, there's the Pandaren, which up until now was something of a jokey reference and an Easter egg. They're apparently a race of panda lookalikes that exist within the WoW universe, somewhere on Azeroth, in a bunch of islands apparently. And the Pandaren had a loose affiliation to the Alliance, so that would suggest that if the Alliance are going to get Pandarans as a race, the Horde will need a race as well. It could be that Blizzard will break with tradition and offer Pandarans to both factions, but I very much doubt that. So speculation as to what the Horde race could be, or even if the Pandarans may actually end up in the Horde and the Alliance gets something else. That could be an interesting spin on it, but who knows. One thing I do have to say is the prospect of Thrall, the darling of the Keeper of Law for WoW, facing off against a giant panda lookalike samurai is a very appealing one. It would be very interesting to see. Now, not being a WoW player myself, I've grown a little bit out of touch with the last couple of patches. I stopped playing around about, a couple of months after the launch of Cataclysm, like a lot of people. But I do keep up with most of the news, and it's looking very much like WoW's development process has been slowing down considerably over the last year or so for whatever reason. It used to be that the patches were a lot more frequent, a lot more regular, and that new raid content especially came along a lot more often than it does now. It seems to me that Blizzard have somewhat diluted their patching process, and at first I thought this was in a build-up to Cataclysm, but now I think more and more this might be a build-up in towards Project Titan, whatever that is, another secret under wraps thing that we might hear something about this year. But basically, it wouldn't surprise me if there was another expansion set to come out very quickly after Cataclysm. There is a lot of divided opinion over Cataclysm as to whether it's worked or not. It introduced some very new and interesting features to WoW, but not all of them proved entirely popular with the player base. I'm not going to debate the merits and failings of WoW. What I'm interested in is this slight change in the vibe I get from MMO communities. I go around a lot of different communities, talk to a lot of different people under a lot of different names, and the vibe I'm sort of getting is that the time is right for once for somebody to come along and challenge WoW. WoW has been a dominant force for such a long time that people are ready for something to really give it a run for its money. Also, a lot of people that I speak to really want Star Wars: The Old Republic to do well, even though they're WoW players, because they feel that maybe Blizzard needs some competition just to push them back to their A game with WoW. And maybe this is all true. I think that at Blizzcon we will hear something about this Mists of Pandaria and what exactly it entails. I think there'll be some kind of big announcement to really whet people's appetites. The obvious one is the Pandaren as a race or the new continent. I think Blizzard will be wheeling out their big guns. I think they'll wheel out details of the Deathwing raid. I think they'll wheel out details of the expansion. They'll throw a lot of Diablo 3 information at us. They'll throw a lot of StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm information at us, and also the Protoss expansion as well might get a mention. I think also we'll hear something, just a little something, about what Titan could or couldn't be. And I say this because I think Blizzard are going to shy away from launching anything to directly compete with the Old Republic But I do feel, having followed their developer calls, having followed the Activision developer calls, where one of the Activision employees was quoted as saying something along the lines of, it's okay that these subscribers have left WoW because they'll come back, as they generally do, because they see a dip when a new game comes out and then people come back to WoW. I think this time even Blizzard sensed that something might be a little bit different. And you've got to hope that it is for the MMO industry as a whole, because somebody needs to compete with WoW. But at the same time, does it need to be a game that's going to be quite so similar? You can debate that one amongst yourselves. I'll cover that in a future episode. I think Blizzard aren't going to release an actual game to compete with the Old Republic, but I think they're going to adopt a similar strategy to what they did when Warhammer Online was coming. They're going to release some exciting news to try and just undermine the momentum that game is building up. It was a very successful ploy with Warhammer Online. Although Warhammer Online had a very successful launch, it very quickly dropped off afterwards, and people came back to WoW in their droves, which, probably emphasizes what the Activision people were saying in the developer call. You, again, can debate the very many reasons for that, but you can be sure that the team at Mythic, what's left of them, will have passed on all their knowledge of what went wrong to their new BioWare masters. And certainly, I can't imagine that BioWare will be going into this with their eyes closed, thinking they can just drop and deliver. This is going to be an interesting winter for MMOs and a very interesting summer. And I think we're going to get a lot of information out of Blizzard, and probably at around about the same time we will see an official release date announced for the Old Republic. They're going to be competing for publicity right from the get-go of each other. They've been dancing around each other now for the last year, avoiding mentioning really too much about each other, avoiding pitching each other as competition. Both of them sort of just standoffish with each other, and I think now you're going to actually see these two heavyweights getting into the 12th round, knowing that one of them needs to find that knockout punch. And that's what I think we're going to be seeing both at BlizzCon and Gamescom and PAX just afterwards. I think we will have, like I said, some details about Titan, more about the Mists of Pandaria, more about StarCraft and Diablo, but I also think we may well see gameplay footage of Deathwing. We will definitely see a few new trailers. I think BlizzCon this year might be a little bit light on actual content, but it will be very big on the PR, the cinematics, and the buzz talk. Blizzard need to come out throwing their punches around, because BioWare now are about to arrive, and this will alter the scene. And you've also got a couple of other games lurking in the background, just in case one of the big two trips up. Certainly Guild Wars 2, Terror, and The Secret World will ask a few questions of the established order, because they are all bringing something very new to the genre. And this kind of innovation is going to challenge WoW and the Old Republic, who, although they have their own unique selling points, are not quite as evolutionary as these other games. WoW and the Old Republic will be playing to their own strengths, what they do best, whereas these other games will be trying new things, and we'll see how it pans out. But it will be an interesting BlizzCon, and certainly a very interesting Gamescom when these two heavyweights go at each other. I'm not going to keep rambling too much about what may or may not happen with WoW and what may or may not happen with the Old Republic, because essentially they're two games that haven't released yet. This is all speculation. There's a lot of information out there on the web. I do feel pretty secure in predicting that both of these will still be the big two next year, and possibly for a while after that. But there are some interesting games coming up that I'm going to look at in future episodes. Now, to just bring this round to community, which is generally what I try to focus on, I think what you're going to see is both Blizzard and BioWare trying to really nail their communities down to their game. They're going to bring a lot more features in that give gravity and weight to being in game longer, to being part of a community, to being part of a group. They're going to want people to put down anchors. I think that's what Cataclysm lost, really, was that anchoring of people, even though they put a lot of artificial methods in to encourage that. I think it lost that sense of belonging to a community in many ways. And that's various factors that played into that, cross-realm dungeon finders and so on. And I think both of them are going to come out and try and hit big with these features now to really lock people into their games. And that's going to be the key focus of which one succeeds the most after this year, I think. It is which one retains people, which one keeps people interested for longer. WoW is constantly reinventing itself and recycling its own subscriber base, and BioWare are going to have to very quickly learn to do the same thing. All in all, I think the community will see a lot more attention and a lot more focus of both developers in their MMOs over the coming year. That can only bode well for us all, because if they give us more tools to establish our own little communities, to establish our own mark on these worlds, then that's got to be good for everybody. Anyway, I'm going to sign off here before I ramble on too long. Don't forget, check out the new blog. It's got plenty of behind the scenes features, plenty of updates as to what's coming next, lots of little extras that you won't find on the YouTube channel. Check out the Facebook page, the Twitter feed. Like and subscribe to us, please. I do love getting your feedback. I do love knowing that people appreciate the channel, the work I'm putting in. If you think there's something that could be improved, then tell me. If you have suggestions, get in contact with me. Interact with me. That's what I'm here for, and I enjoy that. Thanks for listening, guys. Enjoy your gaming, and I'll see you later on today in our normal scheduled episode, which is going to be covering esports and their effect on online communities, where I ask the question, are esports the future of online communities or the death of online communities as we know them? Thanks for listening. See you later, guys. Enjoy your gaming.